show. Oh, oh, oh.
Thank you so much, Pastor Lenny. Now we are going to go into the human trafficking training. This is a really basic training. It is not in-depth, but if you want in-depth training at your event or your organization, we will be there to give that kind of training. But this is just a basic, like drive-through kind of thing. Human trafficking is something that affects everybody around the world, including Minnesota, and it can be either sex, labor, or organ trafficking. We talk a lot about sex trafficking, but do you know that you could be living with a victim of labor trafficking just beside your house? I was a victim of labor trafficking, and there were neighbors who saw me every day but didn't know anything was happening, and they couldn't rescue me for 2 years before I finally got help. And I'm glad today that the attorney who represented me, for me to be able to stand here today in front of you all, will be coming to the podium after the break. Welcome, Salima, and I really thank you for coming here. And the organ trafficking, that one is even more hidden, because it could happen to your loved one, dead or alive. In most cases, some are dead. And when you bury your loved ones, are you sure that you are actually burying the person that died? Or you are just burying an empty body where all the bones have been harvested and all the internal organs have been harvested for sale? We did an episode on that on Imprisoned show. So if you want to find out more about it from the experts, Professor Michelle Goodwin of the University of Minnesota shared a lot of light on this. Funeral homes were indicted, doctors were indicted, and even rabbi was indicted. So, and then it can happen, Pastor Lily said it, that as a result of force of coercion to anybody. Has anybody here been lied to and then you found out later that somebody lied to you? So, you know, that is why we need to understand that human trafficking can happen to anybody. It's not only homeless children, and it is not only runaway kids, it is not only kids who come from a problematic home like you think, but someone who has come from a good home, or someone who has even had the education and everything, can become a victim of human trafficking. In my case, I was a career journalist, and I was an award-winning journalist. And I could go to the United Nations, yet I became a victim of human trafficking. So some of these are on that sheet. The presentation is actually from that sheet on the app. It was a training provided by the Department of Homeland Security to train people about this basic human trafficking. So it's the modern day slavery, and it involves false fraud or coercion, and it could be, you know, like I mentioned, sex or labor, and there is organ trafficking that is not being mentioned as much as sex or labor. We need, in the case of human trafficking, we just need to pay more attention and dig more. Sometimes it is in the plain sight, but if we don't look, we're not going to see anything. And even if we're looking and not paying attention, we're not going to see what is going on. And victims are found everywhere, either legitimate or illegitimate places. And these are just few of the places that you can find victims. Here, they didn't talk about victims who are in homes. Sometimes people wonder what human trafficking is and what smuggling is. For somebody to be smuggled in, the person has agreed with another person and paid to come across the border. But for human trafficking, the person has not paid somebody to be smuggled in or be taken over to a different place. And as we heard that it can happen as a result of force of coercion, so human trafficking is different. Sometimes Some people who are smuggled end up becoming victims of human trafficking, but smuggling enough and alone is not enough to determine human trafficking. Human trafficking victims can be of any age. Anyone can become a victim of human trafficking, regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of race. America is the strongest country in the world, yet many citizens of the strongest country are victims of human trafficking. These ones are also not like a complete list, but they're just like basic lists to show you some of the ways that traffickers prey on their victims, either through immigration status. Sometimes someone has the immigration status, but when the person goes out of status, the traffickers start using that against the person. That happened in my case, where I had a 2-year visa and it was supposed to change my visa to a spousal visa, but it did not. And I was out of status and they began to use that and the police to threaten me in order to be compliant to the rules. And that is what happens for mainly foreign-born victims of human trafficking here in the United States, where somebody is using their legal status to control them and to exploit them. Then economic hardship, political instability. Right now, with what's going on in some countries and all kinds of stuff going on, traffickers use that as a means to take advantage of others. We've heard different stories, even through adoption. They lie to adopt in order to traffic these children, either for labor or for sex. So when people are talking about adoption, we need to be paying attention to what are they really using those kids for? Are they really adopting those kids to take care of those kids, or they're adopting those kids to take advantage of them? And it could be even an adult, because sometimes somebody will go to a foreign country and bring in an adult person in order to exploit that person. And there are many other causes. So like I said before, human trafficking is always in our plain sight, but because it's hidden, we can't see. We don't have any victim that will write on his or her forehead, I am a victim of human trafficking. And even in my case, when I was told that I was a traffic victim, I did not believe it. I said, no, how can I be a victim of human trafficking? No, I'm not in slavery. Slavery happened many years ago before I was born, not right now. But as I was educated about it and was told what is human trafficking in my story, I was able to know that I was a victim of human trafficking. And sometimes some victims are also victims of domestic problem, where there is the domestic thing going on, and sometimes for shelters, what they hear is domestic call, or even when police come out, is domestic. But when you dig further, we find out that there is human trafficking underneath it. And if we have any doctors or nurses here, when someone comes to the clinic, you need to start paying more attention. Who is with them? And also, apart from somebody dealing with them or telling someone to leave them alone to talk to them, please show love as you carry on your work, because you never know. The person who rescued me was a public health nurse. And I tell you, I did not say anything to her for over a year that she was working with me. So victims will not speak to you until they have built trust in you. And if you are asking a question and the question seems like probing, then they will shut up and start lying, because victims are trained to lie. They will be lying to you. They will keep lying. And you'll be wondering, okay, I can't figure this out. But when you show love and you are asking not as if you are probing, but you are asking like someone who cares, they will open up to you. Because it's in plain sight and we don't see it, what are the things to look out for? So these are some of the social behaviors. Does the person look fearful? In fact, Fear is the number one red flag for a victim of human trafficking. They speak, but they don't speak with their mouths. They speak with their eyes, and they speak with their body. So look for the non-verbal cues. Does that person look frightful always? Does that person look like, oh, the word is coming to my aim? But if we don't pay attention to this, we will not be able to find out that anything is going on. Because some of the doctors I passed through and some of the nurses I passed through at the clinic could not help me because they didn't know how to pay attention to this non-verbal clue. And then does the victim refer to another person to speak for him or her, especially for foreign-born victims. And even sometimes here, for those that go through sex trafficking and pimps, the pimp will be the one speaking all the time. The person will not speak. Somebody else will be the one speaking on behalf of that person. And if the person is speaking, the person is just telling lies. And even lies that you can detect that, okay, this doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up. So when it doesn't add up, that is when you need to start paying more attention. And then does the victim show signs of physical or sexual abuse, physical restraint, confinement, or torture? You know, in my case, I was pregnant, and I thank God for my child today. He's alive and healthy. My belly was growing, but my body wasn't growing as a pregnant woman. And they didn't know why. They couldn't figure out. They didn't know that I didn't have access to enough food as a pregnant woman. So you need to be watching out for those underlying factors. And as the victim being harmed or deprived of food, water, sleep, you know, for those of you that are medical practitioners here, because sometimes when you go to the clinic, they'll say, oh, the person is dehydrated. Okay, what is the actual cause of that dehydration? You need to be, you know, paying more attention to all those things that look common, but there might be something just underneath that thing that looks so common. It might not be common for the person that you are seeing at that time. And you could just be the angel that will rescue that person at that point. And does the victim have few or no personal possessions? In my case, I didn't have much. I didn't have winter boots. I didn't have winter shoes. I didn't have winter coats. You know, those are some of the things to be paying attention to in Minnesota. In this kind of weather, for someone not to have winter boots or winter coat. So we need to be paying attention to all of this. Can the victim freely contact friends or family? In that one, how do you know if the victim can contact friends or family? It's by asking questions, but not in a probing way. You have to ask. There is difference between, oh, how are you today? And how is your family? Do you have families here? That, okay, do you have any family here? Who are you living with? You know, there is a way you will ask a question that will make the victim feel confident to talk to you. And then does the victim have freedom of movement? In my case, I didn't have freedom of movement. In fact, when I was going to the clinic, it was the insurance right that would take me. And, you know, those are some of the things you need to pay attention to. Sometimes somebody is coming to the clinic and it's the insurance right that is bringing that person. But the person is not living alone, especially a pregnant woman. So, please pay attention to all these kind of things, because I didn't have access to go out. Sometimes I am in the house for up to 3 weeks without going out. I just peep through the window, and that is why I have the cover of my book with me peeping through the window, because that was what I did mostly for 2 weeks. Victims' family, have they been threatened? You know, you can't know that whether somebody's family has been threatened, except you have built some kind of rapport with the person, for the person to have confidence to talk to you. And then work conditions and immigration factors. Does the person work for long hours? Like when you are chatting with somebody and ask, oh, do you work? How long does your work take? In my case, sometimes I'm on my feet braiding hair for 7 hours. Sometimes I'm braiding for 14 hours and I have not eaten. I'm just there braiding here while somebody is collecting the money. And sometimes when I'm doing the braiding, I had my son tied to my back because I'm caring for him at the same time that I'm braiding here. If the victim is a juvenile that is engaged in commercial sex, I am glad now that we are passing a law to protect children, because many of those kids have records that they can't use to move on with their life. So this needs to change so that they can be rescued and they can move on with their life. Part of what the law will be giving to them is the power of their freedom and power to be what they want to be. We have children here today, ask them what they want to be. I don't think any one of them will tell you that I want to be a prostitute. I don't think so. So how come when they get to teenagers, they become prostitutes and we label them as prostitutes? We need to be paying attention to all this. And then was the victim recruited for one purpose and forced to engage in another thing? That happens a lot to foreign-born victims, where some people, you think they're coming here to work and it turns to something else. In my case, even though I came to work and my husband then encouraged me to stay, instead, he didn't do what he promised. He changed the whole thing. And before I knew it, I was a victim of labor trafficking. And then, is the victim paying salary to somebody? His wages, is it being garnished by someone? Because, like I told you before, that someone could be smuggled in, but after that, the person might become a victim of human trafficking, where the arrangement changes when the person gets here. For a smuggled-in person, he or she is supposed to just pay and go and walk freely and do whatever he or she likes. But sometimes some of them will get here and they will be confined from doing what they want. Instead, they will tell them, oh, okay, the amount has changed. You have to pay more. And then you start making them to work and taking their salary. And then as the victim becomes to perform sexual acts, the people will call prostitutes. And then as the victim be threatened with deportation or the law, yes. In my case, I was threatened with the police and I was threatened with immigration. And in fact, the police was called on me. And that was what made me to jump from the frying pan into the fire. And I'm glad that I made that jump, because that is what happens to victims most of the time. They will keep taking it, but when they have to make a decision, they are not sure what is going to happen. And because I had a child I was holding on to, I didn't want what happened to me to happen to him. I had to take the lead. And I jumped into the hand of that public health nurse. And I'm glad that I did today. Organ trafficking. I'm going to show you a little clip from the interview with Professor Michelle. Organ trafficking happens all across the world, including Minnesota. In fact, somebody died in Minnesota. If you go to our website and watch the full interview, you will hear about the guy who died in Minnesota. So it's something that is happening all over. It is not something that is more prevalent in one country than the other. And even also, I will say that one type of human trafficking is not more prevalent than the other. But the challenge we have is that one is being reported more than the other.
What my research has revealed is that this is global. So from India, South Africa, the Philippines, Brazil, to the United States. Just a couple years ago in the United States, a rabbi in New Jersey, Itzhak Rosenbaum.
Rabbi?
Yes, rabbi. Was arrested, yes. Along with numerous corrupt politicians. It was a huge dragnet. But he was arrested because he had been sponsoring an international human trafficking ring in kidneys. He would recruit Israelis and claimed that they were somehow related to Jewish people in the New York, New Jersey area that needed organs. And he profited by the tens and tens and tens of thousands, according to the indictment brought against him. So we're talking about something that is of global scale. So we have people from the United States who have significant demand for hearts, kidneys, lungs, livers. We have people from Israel who express the same demands, people in Germany and England, and they go all over the place. And it's important to distinguish the difference between the demand for human body parts, such as organs, versus the demand for human body parts, such as tissues, heart valves, tendons for knees, and things such as that, even foreskin from babies. Huge cosmetic demand. So cosmetic companies and also companies that process human tissues to do any number of things with those tissues. What isn't in the trade, the human trade, the trade that involves the human body? It's hair, it's breast milk. You can go on eBay or one of these online, you search it in Google and you can buy human milk. And you can buy hair. Oh, yes, right. So any number of things. There's so many things that end up in the stream of commerce now.
I'm glad to let you know that any Bukola is partner with the National Human Resource Center, and these are resources for you. If you suspect somebody might be a victim of human trafficking, please call us. That is our number. And if you want us to come out and do a training or speak at your event, no group is too small. Even if it's just one person that wants to know, they're willing to talk. Part of what we do as an organization is referral. So we will refer to lawyers. For example, our guest speaker is a lawyer. So we'll be referring to our organization and other organizations that provide services to victims of human trafficking. And then also we do, because we want survivors to get their life back and their power back, it's important for us to empower survivors. So we're looking for a common ground to bring survivors and the community. We have what we call the empowerment circle. We have it every month, and what we do is we look for a topic that is common to everybody, whether the person is a victim of human trafficking or not, so that we can start using that to be bridging the gap to empower survivors. We focus on a particular topic. This month we are focusing on financial empowerment. So everybody wants to know something about finance, but then we use this avenue to bring nobody in the group to write on it to our head that I'm a survivor of trafficking, but we bring this common ground to empower survivors. And we are going to be starting a community garden this spring because, especially for those who are foreign born, one of the issues they have is with the food. For me, when I was getting help at Alexandra House, I was there. Usually the shelter is for a month, 30 days to 40 days, something like that. But then I was there for 8 months. So those shelters are taking on a lot because what we think the shelter is for, the shelter is doing more than that in the actual sense. For someone like me who had legal issues, the shelter is the only place I could stay at. I didn't have anybody, I didn't know anybody, but the shelter was taking care of me and my child for a solid 8 months, and we were there until, because for a foreign born there is all the issues to go through, and I'm sure that you will hear a lot about that from our guest speaker today. So this past December we went to Alexandra House because I still call Alexandra House my family home. You know, it's the place where they gave me my life back and my freedom back. So, and I believe in giving back to help somebody else. That is what gave them to this organization. And we went back there in December with 9 volunteers, and we cooked dinner for them, and it was a Nigerian menu. So we want, America is a diverse country, and we cannot stop immigration into this country. People will keep immigrating, and we want everybody to feel the love. And food, for those who are going through any form of abuse or torture or human trafficking, food is very important for that kind of person. And to get even more comfort is when you are able to eat, even if it is one time or few times, the food that you are actually familiar with. I am sorry to say that when they served vegetables with salad, I thought they were serving grass. Yes. So when we serve salad, we present it in a different way than that. So I've never eaten salad with just bunch of leaves together to eat a salad. No. My salad from my country, we have boiled egg, and we have mayonnaise, and we have all the other kinds of things that make it look even appealing to the eye. So when I saw them eating it, I thought in my mind, how can they be eating grass? I couldn't eat. And even when they cooked the simple rice, it was mushy, and it was difficult. So I think it's important, for us to be working together, with even other organizations. We're not planning to reinvent anything or to duplicate what is already there, but to provide more assistance to what is going on and be able to support victims. And right now we're helping 4 victims. One of them is still at the initial stage, and the initial stage is when somebody has not made up their mind whether they don't know what it's like. I don't know if to jump into the fire or not. And because I understand that, I just have to say the patience to keep working with this person. And 3 others are already getting help. So I would not like to take much of your time because my bosses back there are already giving me warning signs. So if you have more questions, please send it till we are done with our guest speaker. And right now you can take a short break to have water and keep it going. Thank you.